You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.
Welcome back to our series of interviews down here at the Options Industry Conference in scenic and sunny Palm Beach, Florida this year. And next up in the Southern studio is a newcomer to the program and indeed to the network. He is Sam Nofzinger, the GM of Brokerage over there at Public. Sam, welcome to the Options Insider Radio Network.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Always fun chatting about options.
That it is. So good thing I'm doing that for 3 days straight. So good thing I enjoy. But Sam, as we are wont to do with all of our first timers here on the network, why don't you go ahead and give our audience a little bit of an overview of your background in the world of options, as well as what it is you do day to day over there at Public.
Awesome. No, thank you so much. Been in the industry a long time. Started my career at a family office, managing money for a bunch of different folks. Headed over to the business side after that at a competitor of Public, where I launched a bunch of the brokerage offerings, ETFs, robo-advisory products, and crypto offerings as well. Headed over to Public about 3 years ago, where I run the brokerage and crypto offerings. Public is a full-service retail brokerage firm that allows anybody in the United States the ability to invest in not just stocks, options, and ETFs, but also bonds, treasuries. We have a high-yield cash account, retirement products. So very, very full-service way to manage your money. A lot of different educational offerings on the platform. A lot of different ways to learn about what you do. Certainly important in this environment to help you avoid mistakes. And it's been very, very active this year, as you can imagine.
Yes, it's been a heck of a year. We'll get to all that fun in a second. But I noticed I don't think I've really seen you guys on the list at the conference before. What is it that brings you to the options conference this year?
Sure. So we've been in the options game about 2 years now. And as we continue to, make headwinds into the space, it's always important to, meet a lot of the different market participants that, we interact with. So all the different market makers, all the different exchanges, a lot of different, market data. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into this business, and it's really, really important to not only work with these companies, but know who is working with these companies. Build these relationships so that we stay in tune with the market and could continue to be able to offer our members the best in the best in class both service and products. And the only way to do that is to keep informed and talk to all the smart people down here.
Now, you mentioned it is still kind of a new venture, you guys, in the option space. I believe you launched the beginning of last year, so not even 2 years yet in the game. Again, it's early days, but how has that early foray been going for you?
It's been really, really great. And so the reason that we launched options, about 2 years ago, was because it was the number one most requested, product, from our investors. And I think that you've seen just the growth of options, in the retail space, probably not surprising to everybody. And so for us, it was just another way to offer, a different asset class for folks to be able to hedge their portfolios, for people to, take leverage on their portfolios without, undue risk, and really just open up the different types of strategies that they could do on the platform. And so we've seen a huge growth in options, both just kind of long calls, long puts, people just figuring out what to do with these things, but also much more complicated strategies. We're seeing a lot of multi-leg strategies, and over the past quarter, as folks really start to think about where the market is headed, they have taken on a lot more hedging than I think in historically.
I think I'd be surprised if they weren't, given everything that's been going on out there. Well, you guys launched with something a little bit different. We've seen a lot of brokers come into the game over the years. You guys launched with a rebate, a little bit of a different approach to the business. How has the response been to that rebate early on?
It's been super, super, folks are really, really happy about it. And historically, public, as if people don't know, we are one of the few retail brokerages that do not accept, PFOF from our equity trades. So if you trade through us, we do not make money off of your order flow, on the equity side. And we did that coming out of, the kind of the GameStop, situation where folks were a little bit unsure about where their markets, their orders were routed. We said, hey, right, we're going to be on your side, align with investors, and we're not going to accept payment for order flow from market makers. On the option side, it's a bit of a different game, and so the way the market is structured, there's no way to really go around these participants. And it's actually tend to get better execution if you go with these participants. But given we are very, very much aligned with our end investors, we said, hey, if we're going to be making money off your flow, you should also share in some of that revenue that we're making. Right, just another way that public is aligned with its members and always trying to work with them as opposed to work against them.
I will say, it gave you the opportunity on the PFOF side to make one of my favorite commercials of all time, the Michael Bolton commercial. I'm not sure if that was your brainchild. You can take credit for it if you like, but it still resonates to me to this day. I just love that you had Michael Bolton singing about payment for order flow. Great stuff. Now, just to clarify for our listeners, to qualify for the rebate, they need to have a premium membership, correct?
That is not true. Anybody, actually, anybody who trades gets rebates. And in fact, the more you trade is the way you can earn a higher tier.
Okay.
So for our folks who come on and trade, thousands and thousands of contracts, they can get up to 18 cents for equity ETFs. But everyone starts out with at least 6 cents, which doesn't seem like much. But it allows you to basically, pay for all the transactional costs. So the SEC fees, the TRF fees, the different CAT fees and things that are just, present in every trade, right? They can just offset these things. And if you're, on the margins, right, they can be helpful.
Now, like I said, we're coming up on 2 years of this options foray. Any surprises, any lessons learned? You're looking at this, I didn't expect the options market or the options client to want this or to do this.
I think what we've been most surprised about is that the people that come and do options don't just do options, but they actually do migrate into a lot of other stuff. So I think when people think about the retail options trader, a lot of people think that 100% of their portfolio is investing in options. And what we found is that even the most active traders have a lot of other stuff, in their portfolio. So I think one of the big surprises for us was it's not just, hey, we're going to launch options and get this, other set of people. It's a lot of the same people just wanting to do more things. And so I think that was the biggest surprise for us is that it's not like, hey, there's only 5% of people, options traders that trade options and that's our target audience. It's we need to expand the pie so that even current investors, who may not have, approached options or may not have considered them, how do we get options in front of them? How do we educate them so that they're able to use these to, basically express some of their ideas on the market that before they were unable to do?
Well, you picked a good time to get into the options game, and who knew a global trade war would be good for options volume. The numbers are in now from OCC for just last month, April. A total volume up 24.3%, just a blockbuster pretty much across the board. Obviously, with the asterisk that there were some unprecedented circumstances going along there as well. Obviously, we can't maintain that level, but post-COVID, it has been just an extremely, even without that month, been an extremely just hyperbolic trajectory for the business. A lot of people, myself included early on, were kind of skeptical that this could persist. I mean, everyone was at home trading. We thought once they went back to the office, went back to work, once trading wasn't the only sport in the country anymore, those numbers would diminish. And we've seen anything but. We've seen just an impressive trajectory. What are your thoughts on the continued growth that we saw just this past month? And then, of course, the trajectory we've been on post-COVID?
I think for us, it's been a story a decade in the making. And I think it's really about, the maturation of the retail investor. So, 10 years ago, not many people were even, buying single name stocks, right? Then Robinhood came out and all of a sudden everyone within, 3 seconds, they could pull out their phone and buy $5 of Tesla. And then, retail investors got really, really good at stock trading. And then, the next thing after stock trading is options trading. And so I think it was just the natural evolution, as technology gets better, as costs go down, that the shift from, consumers has gone from, hey, I know about equities. Oh, what else is out there? Oh, options. Now it's very, very easy to access the options market. It's very, very easy to access options education to learn about these things. A lot of folks' friends, family members, are trading. And so I really think that it really is just a seismic shift in the retail investor. retail investors not dumb money anymore. A lot of these folks are very, very sophisticated. They're trading in size. And so I think, the kind of the notion that, retail traders, just some guy in his basement with $100, right, it really misses out on the huge growth of sophisticated retail traders and their impact on the market.
We asked our audience, what do they want us to talk about down here? And one of the things that came up, in addition to some other topics that we'll get to in a second, was the growth of 24-hour trading. We've seen Robinhood push into that on the equity side. Schwab follows suit. And obviously, from our perspective, options is our focus. A lot of our audience is curious about whether options will fall under that umbrella eventually as well. So let's start with the equity side. What are your thoughts on 24-hour equity trading? Is it just inevitable? Are we pretty much already there? And then B, what do you think about the prospects for options, or even should options trade 24/7?
There's no question that retail will trade as much as you let them. And so with the expansion of hours, we've seen, almost 20 to 25% of our volume actually happens in the extended market. And that was very, very surprising to us. So there's a lot of stuff happening at 8 o'clock, a lot of stuff happening at 6 o'clock, a lot of stuff happening at 8 o'clock at night. And so for us, it's been a huge shift. But I also think, again, it's technology. It's, the crypto markets are open 24/7. Right? Retail traders these days expect immediacy. They expect everything to be fast. They expect everything to be available, and they expect a price 24/7. And so I think you are starting to see the market shift there. There are some there are some issues, right, with the overnight market, right? It's still pretty illiquid. It's still opaque. There's a lot of different players. There's not a consolidated, exchange, if you will, like there is during the regular sessions. So I think it's still early days, but again, it's a train that is taken off and is not slowing down anytime soon.
So you think it's inevitable? Options are going that way eventually?
I think the first thing we have to do with options is get to zero-day expirations for everything. I think before you can go 24/7, you have to at least go, 5 days a week. And so I think, there are fits and starts, but I think hopefully next year, you just saw something from NASDAQ, a couple of single names might go out on Mondays and Wednesdays as well. So I think that in options is going to be the precursor to potentially 24/7. So you do have index options trading, around the clock essentially. There's just not much, there's just no market there. There's not much liquidity there. And so I think first off, you're going to have to get the equity overnight markets really, really in a good place so that there's liquidity, because if there's no liquidity, in the underlying stock, there's certainly not going to be liquidity, right, in the option. And so I think for the market makers to get comfortable making markets with the options, they're going to have to get comfortable making, in the equity markets as well. And so it's gonna get there. I don't know if it's going to be in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, but I think the world in general, trading in general, is going to a not just 24/5, but likely a kind of a 24/7 model, similar to the crypto space.
You said the NASDAQ folks in here today, and you're right, they're the bells of the ball right now. Everyone's very excited about their proposal. Our audience has been asking us for years, when are we going to see the zero-day NVIDIA, the zero-day Teslas? So it seems like we're taking a step in that direction. It sounds like you're a fan of their proposal then, the Mag 7 Plus, I guess the Broadcom as well, taking that approach to the zero-day single name equities?
We generally favor more options for retail investors, and we think that just the more things you can offer them, they will figure it out. So historically, people being paternalistic and saying, right, retail doesn't need this or they're not smart enough, I think is very naive and an outdated fashion to approach the market. I think we are hearing demand from our members. They really want these things, and I think it's only a matter of time, before we get there.
You mentioned education earlier. We had a well-known options educator, a big friend of our network, pass away this weekend. So kind of in his spirit, we've been asking everyone about their thoughts on the state of options education and what they're doing to push it forward. I'm curious for you folks over there at Public, what is the approach to education, and what are you doing? Because obviously, just in April, we saw a huge influx of new players to the game. What are we doing to make sure these people are not blowing out in the first couple of trades?
Yeah, no, and so first it is, who is available to trade options, right? There are, a bunch of questions you have to go through because it is, right, to your point, it's risky. It's not available for everybody. So the first thing is, hey, everyone can't trade options, right? We just don't allow, everybody who walks in the door to trade options. You have to have some level of knowledge and some appreciation for risk taking, before we even let you, enter that space. Then, we have a whole catalog of, both videos and articles, so that if you are, on the newer edge of things, you can basically, start from the ground up. Or if you're a little more advanced, right, you can come in kind of at stage 2 and take it from there and learn about more advanced strategies, more ways to risk manage. I think another thing, that we're doing, and because retail what we found is you can throw as many books at them as you want, but there's no guarantee they're going to take those books and read them. A lot of what retail does is, they learn by doing. And so what we've, kind of an approach that we've taken is, okay, if they're going to do it, let's let them know how they're doing, right? So if you make a trade, or if you're an options trader, are you making money? Are you losing money, right? How in what types of markets, are you making money? Are you making money on single names, but losing money on, index ETFs? And so I think for us, the more helpful we can be in post analysis to let you know how you're doing and whether you're doing it well, is going to be much more helpful than trying to cram down, a textbook's worth of options information, to these investors.
Do you offer any sort of like paper trading functionality so they could test the waters before they dive in or anything along those lines?
We don't have paper trading functionality yet. It is asked, a fair amount, but we do try and have really good, post-trade analysis so that folks understand, whether or not they're making money on these trades or whether they're, should maybe take the pedal off the gas.
A lot of pedals on the gas right now out there for obvious reasons. Well, Sam, I appreciate you taking some time out of your conference to join us here, chat with our listeners a little bit about Public. Before we go, we like to leave our audience wanting more. So if there's any cool initiatives in the offering, any hints, any teases you can drop with our audience about some cool things they can look forward to coming down the pike from Public, now is the time, sir. The floor is yours.
Sure. I think the whole world is buzzing about AI. AI, I think, has had fits and starts in the financial space, but over the coming months, I think you'll see a lot more tools, that utilize AI and are helpful in that way. And the same thing where we're, using, want to tell you how you've done, right? Let's ask AI, right? Let's ask AI to analyze your trades and have a kind of a third-party approach to, portfolio analysis.
Well, Sam, like I said, I appreciate you joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing how all this unfolds in the marketplace and how the options project continues to grow over there at Public.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.